So Tesla, as I mentioned, is a solution to the problem. It's very interesting. If you look at gasoline demand this summer in the United States, it dropped below COVID levels, the worst of COVID, and it dropped to levels that we have not seen since 1997. That's real demand destruction. And it couldn't have happened, we do not believe, without electric vehicles at the margin taking huge share from traditional automobiles. So if we had to be concerned about an industry, it would be the traditional auto industry.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Adrian B. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. And to all of my patrons, that live stream will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Patreon. If you would like to see the rest of that Cathie Wood interview, it was about 20 minutes long, I will put the link below. Next up, the Say website is live for Tesla's Q3 call. Again, this will be linked below. I just want to go through the top 3 questions right now. How is production planning going for Cybertruck? What is the initial phase 1 production target? When can we expect an update on pricing and final design? Understandable question. Then we have, what's the progress of the 4680 ramp? What factors determine which cars get 2170s versus 4680s? And how will that change in the next year? I think a pretty good question. And of course, third, is a share buyback being considered at the moment? We've already talked about this, but I know plenty of people would want more detail about what Elon and co are actually thinking. We do have a Tesla semi question sitting right now in the 5th slot. So again, just don't forget to go vote your shares if you have the time. Here we have a tweet from Joe Tetmeyer, who does drone flyovers of Giga Austin. He shared these images and it looks like we have 2 new potentially Tesla Cybertruck prototypes that were just delivered to Giga Austin, meaning these were most likely made at Fremont. So I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what to make of this. Some people were talking about different sizes, but that could definitely just be a perspective problem. If you zoom in, you can actually see this seems to be sitting on a pallet, so there are no wheels. So maybe it's just a body to do some initial testing. And again, this looks awfully squared off. I know it's angular, but it's a little more rounded than this is making it look. Again, maybe there's something totally different under this sheet. So not confirmed to be a Cybertruck, but of course definitely has that distinctive shape. And replying to his own tweet, Joe said these could be test bodies as part of initial production line setup. They did something similar with Model Ys back in June 2021. So I'll throw it to you guys. What do you think is going on here? Next up, just a quick one here from Michael, a Tesla owner in Taiwan, just confirming that these Model Ys that are now just starting to be rolled out in the Taiwanese market are indeed being manufactured in Germany at Giga Berlin, as he shared from this VIN. Next up, we have a Tesla stock note from Wells Fargo. They did lower their price target to $230 a share from $280, but I want to go over a part of their analysis. They're waking up to the potential impacts of the Inflation Reduction Act, but not just the EV tax credit. Here he says there should be a $3.1 thousand per vehicle benefit from the production tax credits, the battery manufacturing, the module manufacturing for any US made battery. This alone drives $2.8 billion in savings if Tesla maxes out its 900,000 US footprint just from Fremont and expected production from Giga Austin. And secondly, or in addition to, we see $3.75 thousand in retail EV buyer credits per sale. This would be a 4 to 7% price cut for most Tesla buyers, which of course should drive higher volume. And the main reason Wells Fargo lowered its price target for Tesla, we've now been talking about it for weeks, to reflect higher interest rates. Again, the new price target reflects the output of a 3-stage discounted cash flow analysis of the core auto business, assuming now a 13%, up from 12% weighted average cost of capital. Next up, we have a report from Handelsblatt saying that again, 4680 production has been delayed at Giga Berlin due to some technical challenges. Several sources close to Tesla report a significant delay in a crucial but highly complex production technique, pretty clearly referring to the DBE portion of the electrode production. It says, but now only the electrodes are being researched there. Not sure if translation, we're losing something and that should be more of production. All machines for the remaining production steps of winding, assembling, and formatting the battery cells are moving to Austin. And it says Tesla has to get the so-called dry coating of the electrodes under control. A total of 5 experts, 2 of whom are close to Tesla, report that test systems with the technology are currently running quite successfully, but that implementation in large series is lacking. Reuters picked up on that article and then added that they're saying this project, the 4680s, would be delayed until at least 2024 at Giga Berlin. But of course, I had to check with my sources to see what's really going on, so here's what I can tell you. The electrode commissioning and the production ramp will continue at full speed in Giga Berlin, but they will be shipping the electrode to Texas to be completed into cells there. Certain parts of the 4680 production process at Berlin, like the tablets, the assembly, and the actual formation of the cells, won't go into full-scale production on the current schedule. Tesla will resume those plans at a date to be determined later. Further installation of other parts like additional tablets and assembly equipment will be paused. Again, that crated equipment will be redirected to Texas. We have to remember the 4680 building at Giga Berlin is still under construction, so it is going to be synced with the changes that I just mentioned. There are currently 3 existing laser winders that will be commissioned to build a pilot line capable of proving ongoing electrode quality before that actually arrives in Texas. And there is a set of development projects that will be identified which Tesla can run on the current installed equipment in Berlin to enable rapid resolution of outstanding production problems. We have no specific ETA on this delay, but what I'm hearing is that the thought is Berlin could actually start producing full-on 4680s in 2024, but again for 2023, Texas is just too critical when it comes to the incentives that are available. I was also able to confirm that yes, Hardware 4 is indeed in trials right now, and that of course the ultrasonic sensors are being removed in batches. So honestly, this report is kind of a nothing burger if you've been following along with the channel. Here we have CNBC, who got an exclusive look at the only lithium production mine currently in the United States, so I thought it was pretty cool, wanted to pass along that video. This is Silver Peak in Western Nevada, been producing lithium since the 1960s, and again, currently the only US lithium production site. This site is currently owned by Albemarle, who bought it back in 2015. This site spans 13,000 acres, but only employs around 80 people, again because the sun is doing most of the work. This of course is a brine lithium mine, and the brine flows through a series of 23 ponds, each one becoming more and more concentrated. The ponds range in size, and the biggest one is bigger than 700 football fields. Again, as more brine is evaporated, the ponds get smaller and smaller. And for some context, Silver Peak currently produces around 5,000 metric tons of lithium carbonate per year, which may sound like a lot, but Albemarle has an operation in Chile, and that has capacity for 85,000 metric tons per year. In January of 2021, Albemarle did say they have plans to double the capacity of this Silver Peak location, which they said would be enough for 160,000 EVs. And finally, traditionally, Albemarle has had long-term fixed contracts with customers, but this year they started to restructure some of those contracts in an effort to capture upside from rising lithium prices. An exec said there's a tremendous amount of demand. The industry really is having to work hard. Albemarle is having to work hard to keep up with that demand. Next up, just a quick rundown of what's going on with Starlink. So far, around 20,000 Starlink satellites have been donated by SpaceX to Ukraine. This operation has cost them $80 million and will exceed $100 million by the end of the year. Elon just tweeted that the burn rate is around $20 million per month. That, again, Starlink is footing on its own. Now, SpaceX has sent a letter to the Pentagon saying it can no longer continue to fund the Starlink service like it has. For whatever reason, it seems like some people were just expecting Starlink, a private company, to continue doing this before it even makes any money consistently, which to me is crazy. But this is the world that we live in right now. You may recall when a Ukrainian ambassador had some colorful language to Elon, and he just responded saying, "We're just following his recommendation." So I guess we'll see if the Pentagon is going to pick up this bill. Next up, we have Lincoln dealers being asked to invest another almost $1 million to install EV chargers to be able to sell EVs in the future, after already having to spend around $1 million to build separate Lincoln showrooms specifically for EVs. This requirement is about 4 times what Cadillac has been asking of its dealers to be able to sell EVs. Lincoln is going to break this out into 2 different tiers. One of the bigger tiers for bigger markets, they're asking the dealers to spend around $900,000 for 2 DC fast chargers and 7 level 2 chargers. And the remaining 400 stores in smaller markets must spend $500,000 for 1 DC fast charger and 4 level 2s. Dealers have until December 15th to make a decision. As far as I can tell, Lincoln has no plans to offer buyouts for any of these dealers. Next up, we have the first ever GMC Sierra EV Denali will be officially unveiled October 20th, which is next Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here we have what is a quick reminder. So we first learned about this deal last year, but it's 2023 when we may actually start to see some implications of this relationship between Ford and Google. Ford and Google had committed to a 6-year partnership that was really supposed to actually launch in 2023, doing things like quality assurance in factories, over-the-air software updates, and a commitment by Ford to use Google's Android operating system. As part of this collaboration, they have developed Team Upshift, and they're focused on personalized consumer experiences, new retail experiences, and new ownership offers based on data. Remember, Ford wants to not only transition to a digital vehicle, but again, start selling a lot more products and services to the consumer after the vehicle purchase. Along similar lines, Ford is definitely committed, as now they're looking to open a new research and development center in Atlanta, aimed at building a pipeline of software experts by tapping into the city's diverse pool of tech talent. Next up from Autoblog, just a quick note on the Hummer EV. It looks like it could cost more than $6,000 to replace both of the taillights due to the complexity of the lights. They have elaborate lighting sequences that require microchips and other components. Here we have a headline that is plastered all over the internet today with different wording. As far as I can tell, this is a big nothing burger. This is actually old news. It's really just Twitter and Elon trying to get all of the documents for this negotiation on the table. But again, this really is nothing new. Last up for today, to date, Tesla has had a problem with some customers basically placing a reservation for an order to lock in the price, but then they had the plan to just keep delaying that delivery until they were actually ready to buy the vehicle. So now Tesla has changed things up to put an end to that problem. According to an internal email that was seen by Drive Tesla Canada, when you go to place an order, you see a delivery window. Let's just say, October through January. Keep that in mind. That window is now your configurator window. And before the window begins, you can place your order on hold or be unmatched from a vehicle if one in your configuration arrives early. Once that window hits, though, on the first day, you're then only allowed to place your order on a one-time 7-day hold. If you decide to place your order on hold once the 7 days expires, you must accept delivery or your order will be canceled and your deposit will be forfeited. So clearly Tesla is driving to make sure consumers take delivery in that delivery window to avoid people continually delaying taking delivery. This definitely makes sense. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters that I am excited to hang out with later tonight.